Yeah, and it's got to the point. It's got to the point now where this they're almost anxious about the stress, and oh damn, I better smoke because it's a preventative measure.
Excellent. So let me give you the three outcomes of what can happen right now. And again, this is just you can steer this anyway. We're eventually going to get where we need to go. Okay. Yep. The last comment you made, or the last question, was, so we need to fix the stress instead of the cigarettes. Am I correct? Or something along those lines. There's only three possibilities I can come out with. The best case scenario, and this is the one we're always going for, is that if I look at you as the hypnotist, being you and me being the client, with that dazed, confused look on my face, which means that you've hit the nail on the head. And they've realized, oh my God, it was never the smoking, it was the stress. You're a genius. Session's on its way to being a success. If I turn around and say yes and agree with you, that also leads us down the right road. So my question to you is, to make this a little bit tougher for you, what are you going to do if I turn around and say, no, Michael, you haven't been listening to me. I want to quit cigarettes. Let's go down this path. I want to see how creative you can be. What does this just hold us? Where has this taken us? Or what's just occurred?
Well, I'd like to know what else you need, or that your unconscious needs to reward itself with the cigarettes.
Excellent. And pause right there. So what have we asked the client? What's the purpose with that question?
Well, the reason being is that I've heard all the excuses as to why I have to smoke, right, as the client, because I'm stressed, because I'm this. But there's something else, because if it was just that, then you would stop that. So there must be something else that they haven't thought about.
So let's take the harder road again. I want to keep pushing down this road to get you to a point to really stretch your mind and think. I turn around again and say, Michael, you're not listening to me. I don't know what else to do. I keep failing. Everything just doesn't work for me. I hate this. I have to quit. Now, even as a hypnotist, like yourself, you've probably had these clients before. I've had several where it seems like you're headed, the question you're asking, you think, yes, I'm getting there. And then they hit the ball back into your court, and it feels like they stump you at every corner. There's a reason for this, but I'm curious to find out, what are your thoughts? What do we keep doing at this point? What's the situation we're in?
I'm just what's got me intrigued is how much you've gone out of your way to smoke, and it's almost like you're trying to sell it to me. It's a great idea, yet on the other hand, you've come to me and you're sitting in front of me here and you're saying, I've got to stop. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. I just want to quit. What do I need to do? I don't understand this. Now, I'm bringing this theme up on purpose.
Yeah.
What do we keep going up against? What's the communicating message that the unconscious mind of our client is doing? The conscious mind is telling all these excuses, but what's the theme the unconscious mind keeps doing to you?
It's testing me. It's testing me big time.
Now we're starting to think. Now, there's many reasons the unconscious mind can test you. Hopefully we'll get to that. But my question to you is, why is this client's unconscious mind keep pushing your strategies away? Why does it keep coming back with, Michael, you're not listening to me, aggravation, getting angry at you? Why does it keep doing this? What could be some of the reasons?
Well, I'm trying to take away its security blanket.
Now you're thinking. We are.
And
Go ahead.
and look, if you really want to smoke, just smoke.
Mm-hmm. We've come
But
to a point.
if there's a glimmer of a reason why you shouldn't,
Yep.
then let's have a look at that.
Yes.
And let's explore that, why you shouldn't.
Excellent. So let me give you a metaphor to explain what you said was absolutely perfect. Look at this as unconscious resistance. This is the unconscious mind, and this is, again, just a metaphor. It's almost a metaphor to explain a metaphor. The unconscious resistance comes from to say, Michael, this is his unconscious mind talking now, Michael, you haven't shown me or given me or provided anything for me that I like better than smoking, so I'm going to keep smoking. You need to prove to me that I can do something else plus get what I get from smoking. Now, what this client gets from smoking is anyone's guess. That's something we have to explore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It
so
does.
We're at a point where we're moving along, right foot in front of left foot, thinking, wow, this is great. It's a great session. And the unconscious mind keeps saying, no, Michael, we're not there yet. You've given me nothing. Why would I want to change? Why am I going to listen to you? You're not providing me anything. I'm doing, let's call this client Jim. I'm doing Jim a service right now because he does get stressed out. He does have these things in his life. And the only conclusion I've made is smoking. And until you provide me anything different, I'll keep on smoking. And I'm going to resist you at every corner until you pique my curiosity.
Well, what I'm just wondering is what we could give you that is better than smoking.
Excellent. Backtrack just a little. We're not going to go to a point where we're going to solve it.
No. I'm looking for you to tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
What would be more beneficial to you that would make smoking the furthest thing from your mind?
Excellent. Good question. What do you think the response from the client's going to be?
Well,
knowing that they're probably
one
not
or
even...
two ways. Oh, well, I've tried everything.
Thank you. That same common theme is going to repeat itself.
Yeah, or it could spark some interest and I get a bit of a deer in the headlights moment.
You could, absolutely. The only way that interest is going to come about is if there's a trance that's been formulated.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And again, this is a role play. I can negate everything you're telling me and take control of this conversation, but I do want to push you down a certain track where we come to a point as hypnotists that we start to explore the conversation, we start to explore the problem, which we know we need to do for obvious reasons already, and it's been advanced training as well. It should be a little bit more preview as well. But we come to a point where even we think we're getting somewhere, and the unconscious mind says, no, I'm not doing that. You don't understand me. And then whatever you try and do to get around it, start to say, well, what else could we do? What other things would you rather do? All these great questions that have a place. They definitely have a place. The same excuse comes back and says, well, Michael, you're not hearing me. I've done everything you could imagine. I've tried absolutely everything. Nothing seems to work. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I guess you're going to be a smoker then. Because with that determination,
yes,
you're going to smoke.
Yeah.
And good luck to you.
We almost have to call a client's bluff, don't we? Say, well, look.
Just about.
Yeah, it sounds like you're, I know you're sitting here in front of me. I know you want to quit. I understand this. And I know you've tried everything to quit. So what do you want me to do? I'm not following along. I mean, this is just one example of what could be done, is to put it back on the client, put it back in their court. Now, yes, they could turn around and say, well, Michael, I want you to show me. You need to tell me. Let's go down that path and see where this could take us. If I turn around to you and Michael and say, Michael, I don't know what to do. That's why I'm here. You're meant to help me.
Yeah.
What has this now done to the conversation? That could be that knot we were talking about. This could be the mindset of the client.
And I'm trying hard not to tell stories.
I know. I know. Because the stories you're telling, it'll break through this anyway, but I don't want to get into that for this program.
That's That's something altogether different.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same at the same time, but we won't go down that road. What is the theme of this conversation? This client keeps recurring back in the same theme, then all of a sudden he pops out. It's going to be a bit of anger and frustration, which we know is an unconscious moment, and says, well, Michael, you tell me. I'm here. I'm paying you, Michael. You need to tell me what I need to do. What position has this client taken, and what position has this client given you?
They've handed the decision making over to me.
Yes, thank you.
So,
and why is that an issue?
Now the only real thing to do would be to task them,
mm-hmm.
and give them a task,
mm-hmm.
and make sure they complete that task without throwing their arms up in the air,
mm-hmm.
and saying, oh, well, I've tried that before,
mm-hmm.
right? And coming back with that argument. So you've got to belt the ball back over the net,
mm-hmm.
and say, deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a lot of responsibility for you, the hypnotist, right? Would you want to take on the position of fixing the problem for them?
Well, it may not be the yes, they've presented the smoking as the problem,
mm-hmm.
but it's masking a number of things.
Mm-hmm. What's the one thing that keeps repeating itself? The position's very, very important right now. This person has positioned you to say, Michael, you fix it for me. Now, as we as hypnotists, can we do that? Of course not.
No.
So why would we take the position? So what I'm pointing towards is, couldn't this reveal to us the reason why they can't quit? Because they went to the patches to help them. They went to the electronic cigarette. They went to the hypnotist. They went to all these different places. And what's the one place they didn't look? Them.
Inside. Yeah. Would
you agree that some sort of acceptance or some sort of I need to do this would need to be, if you will, installed, for lack of better words, before you can even move on? Because every time they quit, what are they going to say? Michael, you didn't do it. Yeah, Michael failed. Hypnosis doesn't work. My boss stressed me out. He made me smoke again. And what's the thing they're forgetting? Them. So you could see how even before you get into the cigarette thing, this could be the first block. They've made a decision about hypnosis already, haven't they? Doesn't work.
Yeah, very much so.
They've made a decision electronic cigarettes hasn't worked. They've made all of these decisions. So our job right now as a hypnotist, and yes, this is quite abstract thinking, is we need to clear that block to get some wiggle room. Along the lines of, we need to say for them to almost think, yes, all of that failed, and to take your metaphor before, but there's other things I guess I could do. Bang, we have them moving towards a positive outcome. Right now, it's everything else fails and it's everybody else's problem. Now, you being a hypnotist, that doesn't sound like any of your clients, does it? That categorizes 99% of your clients. It did for me.
Absolutely.
It's always everybody's, and even myself. The problems that I have in my life and problems you have in your life, we go external and we blame everyone else because it's a lot easier. It's just human nature.
Well, that's, path of least resistance.
That's it. So let's, just as an understanding, and again, this conversation could have gone anywhere. I'm glad it went down this road because this reveals some really important principles. The principle being that our client, we have to turn the responsibility back onto our client. We can't fix things. It's like a client says to us, you need to do a regression on me because it's what I read in a book. And that's the only way I can stop eating junk food is with a regression. They're already taking the position to try and control the conversation or control the session. It doesn't work that well. So understanding this, let's take the client and the hypnotist position again. And I've said to you, look, Michael, I've tried everything. You need to tell me what I need to do. How are we going to clear this block? Let's get back to being curious. What are we going to do?
Well, I'm wondering what you'd like me to do.
Excellent.
And I'm the thought that's going through my head at the moment, I had a similar client, and they said, "Oh, I got more out of, a relaxation technique." So we did the relaxation technique, and that got the person into a point where I was able to put something else there. Right? So to shift that conscious mind just enough to put something in there to rattle the unconscious.
All right, what I want you to do, sum all that up for me in one question. I'm going to resist your storytelling ability.
Okay.
What are you really trying to ask me?
I know you think that it's down to me to provide the solution for you, but the solution lies with you.
Still too much. Don't teach me anything. It's a great lesson, but I could turn around and go, Michael, that's rubbish. Come on, Michael, fix me. I want you to tell me, what do I need to do?
You've done it already. You've come here. So that being said, what did you do that got you here?
I'm just so frustrated, Michael. I have to quit this. What do I need to do? Just tell me.
So that frustration gave you enough to get you here.
Yeah, I just got to quit.
Just got to quit.
Yeah, just tell me, what do I need to do, Michael? You're the stop smoking expert. That's why I came here. You can tell this client's holding on to this position quite firmly, right?
Absolutely.
Now, even if we started to say things like, the answer's inside of you, you can do this, you're more of a man than you think you are, they're not in the right position, they're not in the right mind, in the right headspace to even believe that. That's some great coaching metaphors that might illuminate someone's imagination for a couple of seconds. But right now, they're so firmly fixed in the position, the only answer they're going to listen for, and they're going to negate everything else, is the instruction to say, okay, look, cat's out of the bag. Here's a solution. I've written it on a piece of paper. Take that away with you. You'll be good. That's what they're waiting for. So we need to break this, because we're probably right on the edge of what this client is really blocking. Just fix me, Michael. Give me the solution. I know you know it.
What is it that needs fixing?
I've got to quit, Michael. I have to quit. Just tell me, what do I need to do?
Quit what?
Thank you. We need to put the position back into our client and almost say, well, what do you want me to do? What are you expecting me to say? And I'm going to carry on from that, and I'm going to do this. Fine. Mark, you know what it really is? It's so freaking hard to quit. What's just happened right now?
It is, isn't it?
Okay, what has the client just told us?
It's hard.
That's the mindset. It's hard. That's why I keep failing. I want it to be easy, Michael. And by coming to you, I thought it would be easy, because I thought you were going to give me the solution. But also with that, I've tried all these other easy solutions, and where have I ended up? In the same place. Do you see why breaking that cycled mindset is so important?
Yeah.
Maybe you thought, I'm just going to sit in my hypnosis chair. Michael's going to tell me to close my eyes and relax and run me through this great metaphor and a story. That's too easy. So the mindset this client has, this is at the conclusion this person has drawn. This is the loop, the unconscious loop we've talked about many times, is I think quitting smoking is hard. And this could have been something they've been told, the experiences, the failures they've had. We'll get to that. I think it's going to be hard. I'm confirming it's going to be hard, but I want an easy solution. And if you give me an easy solution, I'm going to say that's too easy because smoking's hard. So quitting smoking's hard. So I'm going to keep smoking again. Can you hear that loop this person is caught in? So our job right now is to do what? Show them that quitting smoking is easy and that smoking will take care of himself. Yeah. Do you see that live in the action?
Yep.
So how do we do this? Without offering solutions? This would be a great time to tell stories. Absolutely. But we're not going there. So how do we take this person's mindset that says to you, Michael, just quitting smoking is so freaking hard. I don't like hard things in my life. I like life to be easy. How are we going to break that? That's good. The tie.
We all like things to be easy.
Correct.
We all like things to be easy. So how could we make it easy?
Excellent. That could be pointing towards a solution. Now, there's two ways again. Let's do this two ways again. I could turn around and go, well, Michael, you know what would make it easier? If my family supported me. Then we can go down that road. We've got some outside solutions. Beautiful.
Yep.
But in most cases, client's not there yet. That's why they're sitting in front of you. Does that make sense? They don't have the solutions or the resources. So we're asking questions like, what could you do? What would be easy? What does easy mean to you? They might not be there yet. And that's the word, they might not be. So I just want to keep you creatively thinking. What else do we know? What else are we curious about? How do we snap this loop? Because we're hoping we snap the loop and the client goes, oh my God, Michael, I'm so much of a man, I don't need cigarettes. I'm not going to let cigarettes control my life. I'm more than capable to quit. Great, they found a solution, but we have to break that loop. Right now, they're caught inside of it. Smoking's hard. I want it to be easy, but if it's too easy, so I'm going to keep smoking because quitting's hard.
Smoking's easy, but quitting's hard.
Go ahead.
That's really strange because in order to smoke, you've got to pay for them and you've got to buy all this equipment, to be able to do it. And yet quitting just means that you don't have to do it. So how is to do nothing is really hard, but to do something is really easy?
Excellent. Sum that up. What are you trying to ask me? You're on the right track.
Well, if doing something like smoking is really easy and doing nothing like quitting is really hard, why don't you just not quit?
Excellent. So now we start to play with our logic, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's one way. What else could we do? Now, again, to take what you just said before, how would we know what's the most obvious sign or signs that we would know that that's stuck, that that's had an effect? What should we always be on the hunt for?
Well, I'm looking for pauses. I'm looking for unconscious signs, and it's very hard because I've not got anything visual to work with.
Of course. But you're always going to be on the hunt for those moments, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you've got a really good moment from that question and they looked at you and went, what?
Huh?
What's being indicated right then is they're right on the edge of that loop. So that loop has been interrupted. Because the loop of I can't quit, it's too hard, it's this, it's that, failure, that's looping, and all of a sudden with the context they're in, they're going to be thinking really firmly about the problem right now because you keep bringing it up. And all of a sudden you're getting a, what? You're interrupting that loop long enough to clear that mindset. So that's one way.
And I'm just what I'm thinking about is that if the same enthusiasm got put into quitting as to smoking, you'd be done and dusted. And how is it that your enthusiasm changes? Because you're enthusiastic enough to come here to look for an easy answer. How is it that enthusiasm swaps direction?
Excellent. So it's another amalgamation of the mindset thing. Beautiful. What else could we do?
I'm wanting to know when you're no longer a smoker, because that's going to happen, what benefits you're going to get out of it. What benefits would there be to not smoking?
What are the chances our clients already thought of that?
Quite possibly.
Yeah. So where would we go if I started to say
things
like, go ahead.
They're not real enough to him.
That's right. So talking about them might be enough. You might revivify an emotion. They have an outburst of unconscious moments. Fantastic. But the majority of cases, you're going to get things, well, Michael, I just want to be healthier. I want to save money. Just the normal off-the-top conscious thinking.
Yep.
The same theme I want to keep playing with is this idea of quitting smoking is hard to do. This is the conclusion they've come up. That's the outside of the loop. That's what keeps that loop spinning. So how are we going to penetrate that loop? Using the logic they've come up with. Because the conclusion they formed is wrong. We know throughout, or we know historically in the clients you've worked with, that some people quit smoking really, really easy. It's the easiest thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
Some people just put the packet down. They don't have to think about it again. Some people struggle. Some people land straight in the middle. So any conclusion can be drawn. The one he's concluded is the only conclusion he's willing to accept.
Is it? It's really...
Yeah, it's what the unconscious mind's holding on to. That's the excuse the unconscious mind's going to keep giving you because it's still getting something from it.
Yeah.
So what else do we need? What else could we play with? What other understandings could we provide this client? Well, think about it like this, and I'll throw some ideas as well to keep your mind thinking as well. It's not a bad idea to bring back the themes that he's been talking about. And just to recap where he is just say, okay, so you're here to find the easiest solution. What's so hard to believe that it can be easy? Doesn't sound like much, does it?
No.
But what have I introduced? Hard.
Yeah.
He thinks it's hard to quit. And he's told us, I've tried everything that we could assume he thinks was easy and didn't work. So what's so hard to think that smoking could be easy to quit? Well, it's not. I understand that. But what's so hard to consider that it's easy enough to think about it differently? Well, you don't understand. You don't understand, Michael. It's not working. It's really hard. I get that. So you're here to find the easiest solution, and that's hard, correct? Well, yeah. So I guess if we find the easiest solution that makes your hard, as far as quitting, so easy regardless of it being hard. Now, that's just a silly, again, it's just a confusion technique, but I'm inviting the themes, I'm reorganizing them for him and giving them back to him. I'm not introducing anything like the power's inside of you, anyone can do it, just put the cigarettes down. I'm not introducing that. I'm just muddling up the loop that he's given me, and that's another way to penetrate it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, consciously, it makes no sense. I'm talking almost rubbish. But because I'm using the same reality and the same themes that makes that loop spin, there's chances that it could have an effect. Another one could be to say, you work hard for your money, right? Well, yeah. Would you really want to work hard for something that makes it hard for you to actually have to continue to work to make and get something that's hard each time? That's just another amalgamation of what he's telling us without so much conscious content.
Yeah.
He does work hard for his money, and he's paying for something that's hard to quit that he wants to do. I'm taking out the conscious information and just repeating that hard thing back to him. Does that make sense on a confusing level?
Yeah,
So where are your thoughts? What else could we say to him? Let's just keep creatively putting these out.
I'm thinking that you want this smoking to stop, and you want it to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
As easy as, going to bed of a night, because you don't smoke when you're in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you?
No.
You don't smoke when you're asleep.
No.
And sleep's really easy. So doing things easy is something that you can do, and you've probably done all your life. So how do we make what you do easy when you think it's hard?
Excellent.
And when you change the way you look at things to their level of hardness or easiness, how does that make you feel?
Excellent. So again, we just overly confuse them with the same themes. We could also clarify the event. So Jeff, if that was his name from before, Jeff, what are you here for today exactly? Are you looking for the easiest solution to quit to something that's hard? Or are you trying to find out the hardest way to make it even harder so it becomes easy and you learn from it? I'm confused. Which one would you rather? Would you rather find the easy solutions and quit? Or would you rather quit regardless of it being hard or easy? That stacking of conclusions should jumble things up enough where he gets that, it's sort of like, it's just to catch him off guard slightly.
Yeah. So it's just to move that conscious out of the way.
That's it. It comes back to that metaphor, to get the conscious out of the way, even if for a split second, for them to say, is enough, where we're starting to loosen the way forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So let me give you an answer to the statement you gave before, or any of the statements we said. And I said, well, Michael, what I'm here for is, you know what? I don't care if it's easy or hard. I just don't want to smoke. So what has this now just told us? He's accepted one of those patterns, because he's dropped the idea of it being hard or easy, right? He's just told us this. If, however, he just said, Michael, listen to me, it's so freaking hard, there's more work to do. Yep. But if he excuses his position, he backs out of his position, says, you know what, Michael, I don't care if it's easy or hard, I just want to quit.
Okay, well, we want to take the easy option, right?
Of course. So where do we go from now?
So now what we need to do is we need to find out just how easy it is for you to stop smoking.
Excellent. Now, why we've used that opening statement before to say, you know, how many ways can we find so it's easy and da-da-da. Back then, it didn't have the right place to sit. Why would this now have a better place to sit? And it would probably be the exact same question I would have asked. Why would this be more accepted?
Because you've broken the loop and you've given you've given yourself the opportunity to put something in there.
Yes.
So even if the loop closes up, it'll never be the same loop again.
Now we're thinking. We had to move the loop. We had to distract the loop. We had to destroy the loop enough in order for this repositioning to take occurrence. We had to make sure that we loosen the position in order for our new suggestion. And it's nothing outstanding as far as a suggestion. It's nothing to say that it's all full of language patterns and an Ericksonian approach or any sort of confusion. We had to open up their position, get them to drop what they were firmly holding on to and say, well, now that you've dropped that and now that's forgotten, let's figure out what we can do with you now. What else can we do to help you quit? What else can we do to get you past this cigarette thing? Now, we haven't done anything really hypnotic, have we? We haven't even really started. We're investigating the problem.
No, but their unconscious,
yes,
is now, and I'm thinking, formed a relationship with our unconscious.
That's it. We put
right?
them in
There's a bit of a handshake going on.
That's it.
So we've decided that we're going to help one another.
That's it.
So why not make it easy?
That's it. And there's two ways it can go right now. We have a position as the hypnotist. Now their mind's more open for us to say, okay, let's use trance. Let's formally put you into a hypnotic trance, either through a technique or a strategy, whatever.
Yep.
And then we can move them through the trance with the theme of find those things you need to do to quit. Find everything you can find. We can take them through a story, some metaphors. We can do that formally with an induction. Or, and this is just another case scenario, we can keep talking to them, knowing that a trance will ensue naturally by itself.
Yep.
And keep offering, what else could you do? What could you do with this? How about that? What about this? And those things get collected unconsciously. So when they do fall into the trance, they're already waiting for them.
Yeah, and then they come up with the idea.
Every single time.
And when they come up with the idea,
yes,
then there's some weight behind it because it's good.
It's their idea. They can't deny their own ideas. They can deny yours. But the funny thing is, the same solution they come up with could have been the one that you told them at the very start. But at the very start, they said, no, that is not the case. That couldn't happen. Why? Because the position they had was of the mindset, which was quitting smoking is difficult. It's hard. It won't work. I've tried everything. Whereas right now, they're in a place where they've dropped their position. They're taking your position and they're waiting for, okay, Michael, where do we go with this? So let's take that position. I've dropped the mindset issue that I've had, and that was just an easy way out. And we're now at a point where you need to start, my mind was closed before, how can we start offering suggestions or asking questions that would open up my mindset, keeping the same current theme? Where do we need to go with this?
I'm looking for a clue from them as to where they think they should start.
Mm-hmm. So how would you offer that as a question?
So now that you're well underway and you've taken the difficulty out of all of this.
Excellent. Good sum up.
What do you think would be the first steps that you need to do?
Excellent. Remember, we're not there yet.
No.
Make it a bit more ambiguous.
Where would you need to go to ensure that it's not hard?
Excellent. Fantastic. The reason that's so great, because you've brought in the reoccurring theme. See how you're cementing that in? You're saying to a client, okay, now that doesn't matter whether it's hard or easy. Where's all the places that you know is not hard to quit that you keep missing because you thought it was? Now, your client's going to go, what? But it's going to spark an idea inside of their mind, because I've said to them in logical terms, great, we know where you can't quit. Where's all the places you can go so you can? You could even say that. Now, I like the way you did it. You added that theme of it being difficult. We keep cementing that in. Does that make sense? So let's pick up on what you said. I love the way you said that. And you've said, so where else do we need to go? What else do we need to do that you know is not going to be hard or difficult? And I come back with this. Well, I guess I just need to stop buying the cigarettes, Michael. What have they found?
They've found that that's probably one of the stepping stones that gets them to there.
Excellent. But to us, that seems obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does.
But we can't say that to them, can we?
No, and I'm just thinking of, yeah, but buying them just isn't, not buying them is the easy bit.
Excellent.
What happens when somebody offers you one?
Yeah, and we get to that point, we start testing,
Yeah.
absolutely. But do you see how they've come up with the solution themselves? Now, at the very start, with this closed mindset of quitting smoking's hard, and you said that same thing and said, well, why don't you just stop buying them? How many of Jeff's friends do you think have said that to him?
Yeah.
All of them. How many times do you think Jeff has tried that? Many times. But every time, it seems too easy, so it must be hard. It revigorates that quitting smoking's hard. And if I just don't go to the shops and spend my hard-earned money, that's easy. But too easy becomes hard. Because I'm in the position that giving up smoking is hard. So right now, we've reintroduced an idea that has sparked their idea that said, well, I guess I'll stop buying them. Which means they found a resource. They found something. Is it going to be the all and end all? Probably not. But it could be. So how could we cement in that what they've found is a good start? Without telling them in face value, saying, great, that's excellent, go do that, session's over. How could we keep weaving that into a conversation, having fun with the language and the theme?
It is easy, isn't it?
Yes.
And knowing that that's so easy, what else could you use that's easy to help you not smoke?
Excellent. So we can keep pushing them forward. Excellent. So it's one option. We keep pushing them forward. We keep opening up the mind. But we can also backtrack and use that as our plot for it. Could go into a story or a metaphor or just a little bit of fun, conversational fun. And it could be like this. So, I guess just stopping buying the cigarettes, that'd be the easiest way, or an easy place to start, right? Yeah. Well, that takes all the hardness out of it, doesn't it? Now, excuse the what could be a rather weird metaphor, but do you see how I've reintroduced the same thing?
Yeah.
So, well, because all those times you've been hard up for money, you still found money for cigarettes. What a hard decision it must have been to say, well, I could buy this or I could buy cigarettes, knowing that the cigarettes you're going to do will give you that hard feeling that you hate, all the while an easy decision to do something else, like stop buying them, like you just told me, was always there. Yeah. Silly the way we think, isn't it?
It is.
Do you see how we've just had fun, but I've cemented in the same? These classically could be known as embedded suggestions, but they're more than the embedded suggestions. I'm having fun with the scenario he's given me. I'm reaffirming that, yeah, by doing that, that's one way to do it. That's not a hard decision, but I can't tell him that at face value.
No.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So let's go from where you were to open them up and say, well, what else could we do? The only thing we have to be aware of, we can't keep that theme up. So great, you'll do this. What else could you do? What else could you do? That could come later when we're testing and future pacing if we go down that road. But let me give you another resource. Let's say from that question, my eyes start to flutter and I fall into a weird little thinking trance for a couple of minutes. And then my eyes shoot open like I've been startled. And I go, oh my God, Michael, I've got it. It's not that I'm just going to quit. I'm going to start going to the gym to get as healthy as I can. That's what I really want to do. What's just occurred right now?
His unconscious has put everything into place to give him the reward for the reward's been given.
That's it. And why is the reward important? Because we go back all the way at the start over an hour and a bit ago. The unconscious one has to have some sort of reason to give up.
It does.
The smoking. Now the unconscious mind, just an example, has turned around and said, well, you know what? Michael makes a lot of sense. I think Jeff needs to go to the gym. If he goes to the gym, he'll get healthier. He'll get so healthy, he'll start to feel attractive about himself. He'll work out. He won't need smoking then, because all along, Jeff's only been smoking to feel acceptance in a group. Now that Jeff's feeling good about himself, he doesn't need the smoking to be accepted because he'll be attractive to the opposite sex and they'll like him for who he is. Yep, Michael, you've got it. I like that. The resource is, Jeff, you're going to the gym now.
Yeah.
To see how that conclusion could make its way around. And like what you said, to sum that up, it's the reward.
It is.
Now, by digging deeper at the very start, we could have got to the fact where Jeff said, well, the only way I feel accepted is by smoking, and I've got no friends, so I guess I'm not being accepted enough. Maybe I need to smoke more or something like that. This weird conclusion he comes up with.
And usually the conscious mind it's got such a good protection mechanism.
That's it.
That that will be buried a long way down.
Of course it will. It will be hidden and it will be so buried that even when it comes to the mind of a client says, no, that can't be it. It's got nothing to do with my childhood, and it blocks that information. The reason why we have to move the conscious mind out of the way is so that information comes out. It slips out. It's like the Freudian slip. And when it comes out of your client's mouth, they're as shocked as you are to hear it for the first time. You've seen it with your clients when they say something, they say, oh my God, I haven't thought about that for years. Where did that come from? I can't believe I just said that. It's because it's so new to them, but it's also, the paradox is it's already a part of them. The unconscious mind has packed it down, but then when it's felt, okay, Mike was a great hypnotist, great rapport, here is that information. The conscious mind denies it because it says, well, if you say this, you're going to feel vulnerable. I don't want you to feel vulnerable. No, I'm going to block that.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So thinking back on now, for people listening at home as well, if this is the first time taking a hypnosis training, this is advanced thinking. This is creating the mindset of a creative, what I call a master hypnotist. So bear that in mind as well. The point is, hopefully I've made as well, we haven't gone anything too hypnotic as far as language patterns. What we're doing is we're utilizing the presenting loop. We're utilizing that loop that a client is caught in as our way and as our trajectory into breaking the loop. Instead of bringing external techniques to try and destroy the loop. The image that comes to mind is one of those old 1980s video games where you get a little plane that shoots like asteroids and destroys the asteroids. You bring in a plane to shoot down the asteroids, and you move further up into the game. That's bringing external stimulus. What we're doing is we're using the asteroid, we're landing on the asteroid and exploding it from the inside out. Does that make sense?
It does.
And by keeping the same themes of the loop, it fits their reality. It's more willing to be accepted when we're saying things like, well, I guess if you do everything that you haven't done, that's got to be an easier decision than what it is hard, right? I've brought in the same themes. I've just had fun with the language, but I'm using the same themes. It's got to be more accepted. Rather than client comes in, sits down and says, Michael, I want to quit smoking. And you go, great, close your eyes for me and relax your feet, relax your head, and go through this story, which has an effect, absolutely. Hoping that they'll wake up after it and go, wow, I'm just not going to buy the cigarettes anymore. What we've done is it in a more of a conversational way. We've got to the root cause, if you will. We've got to the loop, and we're trying to be included in the loop. It's like waiting outside of a nightclub in a long line, and instead of going to the back or the front and trying to get in, we're just going to shimmy ourselves into a small group, be a part of their group, hoping to get into the nightclub easily because they think, well, there's a big group that must spend more money, instead of being a loner and a part of it ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I want to use the reality strategies. The reality strategy for this client was giving up smoking is hard, so we need to use that logic against him.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I've got a great story for this.
Sure.
But that's for another time.
Sure, we can get into that another time. What the idea behind getting into the loop and destroying it is like clearing all the data, clearing the file. We're starting with a fresh palette. You can paint your picture then. If you wanted to paint a masterpiece, you wouldn't paint over the top of another one. You get a fresh canvas. You'd clean it, you get all the dust off, you make sure it was completely clean of clutter and dust and dirt, then you paint your masterpiece. You don't paint your masterpiece over the top of another one because it's going to get lost in translation. That's what we've done here. And then when the loop's been broken, then we can start to say, well, now that you've dumped your position that smoking's hard, what do we need to do now? What solutions can we come up with? And we can either put them into trance to find it for them, which is always one easy solution, or we can have fun with the language and stories and metaphors, stack up as many solutions as they need, then kick them into trance and say, hey, now you have all these solutions, spend the next hour with your eyes closed, sorting through them, find your favorite ones. And I'll wait for you right here. Any questions at all?
No.
Quite a lot of information, all based on the assumption of a smoker. What I want to highlight is fixing the mindset.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the presenting problem is.
That's it.
It's
there's a mindset issue. The problem's always going to take a back seat.
Yeah.
It's always going to have a plastic coating around it. You need to get through the plastic coating first.
Yeah. And
you'll hear that through themes. Now, what's important to understand as well, for people listening at home, the themes that you hear won't always be expressed logically. Like smoking, giving up smoking is hard. It's difficult. I can't do it. I fail. It could be presented in other ways. It could be presented through a metaphor. I feel like I'm climbing up a hill and there's no way down. I feel like I'm being weighed down inside. The same theme is recurring. And if that theme keeps continuing, either straightforward or in a roundabout way, you need to address it. If an idea comes to mind in your mind as the hypnotist, like your unconscious mind saying, hey, Michael, he keeps telling you smoking is hard to give up. Address it. And then you turn around and say, oh, Jeff, I'm just curious, this just come to mind. Is it that you think giving up smoking is hard? Is that the issue? And then his unconscious mind says, oh my God, thank you. You've heard me. And you create that relationship. But it's easier said than done. This is what I mean about slowing down, listening to your clients and taking one question at a time. Stop trying to solve it. Just understand it. And it's where these things will come out, these golden nuggets of information.
Yep.
Any questions at all?
No, I'm really good.
Excellent.
I'm sitting here enjoying the moment.
Excellent. So processing away.
Yes.
Excellent. So when we catch up next time to continue on with this program, we're going to continue the same thing. And I hope you like the feel of this. I think it has a more intimate feel going back and forward within a coaching scenario. Is I don't want to say, Michael, this is what we're going to do tonight. This is the technique. I want to just start somewhere and say, look, these are the principles that have already presented themselves. Let's make sure you understand them, then weave the conversation or the process itself to wherever it needs at that certain time. And we'll use smokers, we'll use weight loss, and we'll just keep going through all the ailments and afflictions our clients can have to just piece together this weird and wonderful thing that we call conversational hypnosis.
Because and the thing that comes to mind, Scott, is it just takes the weirdness out of it.
It really does. And it stops you preparing things beforehand. It stops you sitting there for an hour before the session going, well, what is my client going to say? Well, if they say this, I'll say that. If they do this, I'll do that. But what if they don't go into trance, then what I'll do? Well, I'll do this instead. But if that doesn't work, I'll do this. Think of the attitude that creates for when your client who's stressed out, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're sad, they walk into an office where you've spent the last hour being frustrated, angry, and sad because you can't work out what you're going to do. That gets picked up unconsciously by your client through subcommunications, from your mannerisms, the way you speak, your tone. It doesn't set the right environment for solution. And if you're stressed out and your client sits in front of you, their unconscious mind could pick it up as a suggestion to get more stressed out. We don't understand this or notice this, and we blame our client and say, well, they must be resistant. They don't really want change. It's always good practice to think, well, what am I doing? How am I feeling? If I'm feeling great and all tranced out, I've put myself in hypnosis, taking the conversation casually with a solution in mind, that attitude of I can work with you with this, I'll be your friend, I'll care for you, will get exuded through what you do, and then your client will start to act like you. This is matching and mirroring, but we're not doing the obvious matching and mirroring. We're all hoping the unconscious mind does it for us. Your attitude is more important than the techniques. You could have the greatest techniques in the world, but if you don't firmly believe in them, they won't work.
It's a bit like taking your car to a grumpy mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it's like going to a dentist with bad teeth. I want to rest assured that he has great teeth so he knows what he's talking about. Does that all make sense?
It does.
Excellent. You should be very proud. What you did tonight was great. I want to start to expand your thinking and get past the normal pitfalls that most hypnotists, even myself and even you at one point, have fallen into. We want to move past those. So until next time, we will catch up again, this time next week, continue on in the same vein, and then start adding more principles and keep moving away from techniques. All right, Michael?
Thanks, Scott.
Excellent, Michael. You did really well. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.
Bye for now.
Bye.